Alrighty everyone, welcome back. We are not only getting closer to Mission Impossible 7 Dead Reckoning Part 1 that's going to literally pause the box office results for Indiana Jones 5, The Dial of Destiny, we also have Disney preparing for D23 that's going to have a massive revamp of their announcements. They have been dialing back a lot of announcements because of what's been happening with Indiana Jones and everything related to Elemental and more related to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as well. So there's been a lot of drama happening right now with Star Wars behind closed doors over at Disney and Lucasfilm, and exactly what's revolving around Favreau and Filoni gets even more intense. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support, and let's get right into the subject. Now, we know that there's a lot of things going on right now between Favreau and Filoni, given that they really have a lot of weight on their shoulders to really course correct the Star Wars franchise by using the Ahsoka show by August 26th, that's when it releases, as well as the Mandalorian Season 4, which debuts in 2025. Alright, so just be aware about that. However, there's a lot of things that are happening with Jon Favreau himself that has actually been pretty much creating a lot of issues for Disney and Lucasfilm and the roadmap of the Star Wars franchise, especially when it comes to the cinematic releases, right? The upcoming films that they are really trying to regulate as a way to course correct Star Wars. Now, on top of this, alright, what's really intriguing about everything related to this is that with Disney and Lucasfilm still hoping for Favreau and Filoni to course correct Star Wars with Ahsoka and Mando Season 4, however, one major development involving Jon Favreau is that he is quitting from a major Star Wars project that is described to be causing many changes at Lucasfilm and for Disney's Star Wars roadmap. Specifically, what is happening is that Favreau recently decided to leave the Dave Filoni movie, which he was going to produce alongside Filoni as well as co-write eventually, where the big reason behind why Favreau decided to step down as producer and co-writer so far for the Filoni film, which still has no official release date. However, Disney is said to be providing Jon Favreau his very own Star Wars movie, as well, that they are planning to announce as part of their new roadmap that is currently getting fine-tuned behind the scenes that they plan to unveil sometime during the first and/or second quarter of 2024. This does not indicate that Favreau and Filoni have personal issues with each other, but rather, Favreau wanted to decrease a workload between the shows and now the films and this movie offer that Disney is giving him. Now, let me just stop right here for a second. Now, I don't know about you guys, but we know that the Ahsoka show is a make or break situation for Star Wars as a whole, alright? And that alone is a lot of pressure and responsibility for both Favreau and Filoni. The fact that Favreau, and we've talked about this lightly before in the past, has been wanting to do his own Star Wars movie. Disney apparently got the memo and they are providing him his dream essentially to create that. Now again, this is going to be unveiled at one of the earnings calls during 2024, either in the first and/or second quarter, give or take, right around that time frame. And they want to expand into the cinema again. They want to dial back eventually on these shows because I think Disney has come to realize that the shows, for the most part, are very hit and miss. With the movies, they really have to create material that's going to work with the audience. And look, I've said this before, I know Star Wars is in a very big mess right now, and it's gonna take a very big rabbit out of the hat to fix this franchise properly. And it's gonna take a lot of manpower to really kind of get things going. So, these movies, we already have 2 releasing in 1 year in 2026, and on top of that, we've got Mangold's movie. And about Mangold, things aren't looking good for him either. We'll be talking about that a little bit later because of what's been going on with Dial of Destiny. To put things short, there's a lot of talk that they want to fire him from the first Jedi movie, aka Dawn of the Jedi. Alright? Now, Jon Favreau, look, he's a world builder and a storyteller. That's where his strength is at. Dave Filoni's strength is the lore. Now, it really is becoming more and more apparent that Disney is panicking. They want to make sure that they can make as much money out of Star Wars because they are bleeding out with other failures, such as Elemental, what happened with Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel, and potentially now the Haunted Mansion, and the Marvels, by the way, is gonna bomb. We all know that. But anyways, moving on forward, Favreau and his film is reportedly something that is now in the works to be one of the films that they want to release in a year alongside another Star Wars film. So 2 Star Wars films in both 2026 and 2027 is the plan right now. Additionally, another reason why Favreau left Filoni's film as a producer has much to do with the fact that he wants to focus on a different story and a slightly different time period for the fans. This was initially Disney's idea to test the waters to see how Filoni and Favreau work on their own with their Star Wars films. Favreau is planning to have his film based on a popular Star Wars Legends era, which would and could to do, of course, with the Old Republic that has been in development for 2 years now that has remained in limbo. Filoni is said to be getting a new producer to take over with his movie, as well as a new co-writer for his film. Now, the thing about this that really is concerning is the fact that Disney has no idea what they're doing. Do you guys see how tiring it gets? Like, at one moment this is happening, and then another moment this is happening. Things are always changing. Don't be surprised, by the way, if that horrible Rey movie that's in the works, and we've talked about this before, don't be surprised if that Rey movie falls apart and ends up getting cancelled. Even though a script is still being made right now, Stephen Knight is still well into the process, but he had to take a break because of the writer's strike, which could very well persist for many more months, and if it does, that's not going to look good also for the Star Wars roadmap, and it's not going to look good for the shows either. It's really a disaster right now for Star Wars, because they really are dealing with a potential unintentional hiatus of Star Wars TV shows and movies after Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew. Now, yes, we know the Acolyte is coming out next year, but that, of course, is going to go through some reshoots by this November in order to complete that. Now, on top of this, too, we also have to come to realize that Kathleen Kennedy was the source of these problems, alright? If it weren't for her bombarding Mando Season 3 and really wrecking that momentum, we could have been on a more smooth course with Jon and Dave with Mando Season 4, alright? Because before the writer's strike, yeah, there was a lot of drama going into Season 4 and a lot of back and forth stuff between Favreau and Filoni and the Disney higher-ups, etc., stuff like that. So, at the end of the day, the fact that they are offering Favreau a film behind closed doors that's going to take place in a totally different era, mind you, than Dave Filoni's New Republic era, it's going to be interesting to see exactly what that ends up being, and something tells me it is one of those 3 Old Republic movies that we talked about months ago that have remained in limbo. Now guys, very big question for you all. Do you think Favreau and Filoni have the opportunity or have any kind of chance of course correcting Star Wars with Ahsoka or anything related to the Mandalorian era itself? I would like to hear what you all have to say about that, and everything ranging from Bob Iger and his horrible efforts on the franchise so far. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.